Hello, everyone. I'm Sergeant Major of the Army Retired Dan Dailey, and welcome to this edition of Soldiers Today podcast. Soldiers Today podcast is a product of the Non-Commissioned Officer and Soldier Programs Directorate at the Association of the United States Army. Soldiers Today subjects focus on those topics that are relevant and needed by our soldiers and their families, serving the regular Army, Army National Guard, and the Army Reserve. Today, we turn our focus to professional development and education with a discussion with the Non-Commissioned Officer Leadership Center of Excellence and Sergeants Major Academy. As our Army and our nation continue to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, professional development and educating the force must continue to maintain the readiness of our America's Army. The Non-Commissioned Officer Leadership Center of Excellence and Sergeant Majors Academy has a very broad mission that touches all levels of NCO education, from the basic leader course through the advanced, senior, and master leaders courses, the battle staff course, the Sergeant Majors Academy, and all levels of distributed learning courses. So this is a great subject to discuss, and the right leader to have the discussion with here in our virtual studio today is the Commandant of the Non-Commissioned Officer Leadership Center of Excellence and Sergeant Majors Academy, Command Sergeant Major Jimmy Sellers. Jimmy, it's great to have you on the show today.
Hey, SMA, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to be here and talk to the soldiers of our great Army. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate it too. And I can tell you this subject is in the minds of our non-commissioned officers all across the Army as I've been talking to them and talking to the Sergeant Major of the Army. NCO professional development is a big subject. So I know that our listeners will be eager to hear the questions and even more eager to hear your answers. So if you don't mind, Sergeant Major, we'll jump right in. I thought we'd begin with a discussion of our online education initiatives and how these initiatives support our NCO leaders and the Army. We started our online education years ago with structured self-development, or SSDs, as we called them. Why did the structured self-development get replaced with the current distributed learning course, or DLC?
Well, we did some great analysis out there throughout the Army, and enlisted soldiers Army-wide were disappointed with the structured self-development, SSDs, and NCO PME in general. So as recorded in 2015 during our Center Army Leadership surveys, military leaders found that only about half of the soldiers and leaders surveyed beyond SSD believed that SSD and PME courses were really relevant to our duties and responsibilities or improved their leadership capabilities. So they exposed to us some gaps that existed throughout the learning environment. What was actually being taught in SSD and PME really wasn't connected, and it wasn't what the force was looking for to get developed. So as SSD tended to be long in nature, they're about 80 hours in length, this force kind of described it as being dry, boring, not sequential or progressive in nature. And they didn't have the proper skills developed for the attributes that they need to develop our soldiers for the future. So SSDs, if you know a little bit something about it, which I know you do, SMA, because you were around for that period of time, they didn't develop very well. So they were low in interactivity, basically PowerPoint slides with voiceover. The new DLCs are more interactive, like a choose your own adventure storyline, which is branch-based on the decision-making model. We tied it to doctrine, and it made it very, very interactive for soldiers to learn and be involved with. It's tied to FM 6-22, the leadership requirement model, and the DLCs are more shorter in version, approximately about 40 hours each. They're all sequential, progressive, and directly tied to the next level resident PME. So what they're learning in DLCs, they'll see it again in the resident PME at the next level. And it really makes the soldier tied into what they're doing, and they understand what they're going to be seeing in the next level of PME. So kind of consider DLCs as the overall advance sheet for the next level of primary military education that they're going to send to resident course.
It's great to hear that we're continuing to evolve our non-commissioned officer professional development education system. And on that same topic of online education, online education initiatives have continued to evolve. And you just talked about it. And recently, the NCO Leadership Center of Excellence added another website called the NCO Worldwide Campus. What does the Worldwide Campus do for the total Army?
That's a great question. The NCO Leadership Center of Excellence website, what it does is bring all of the enlisted education together. It gives a soldier a one-stop shop to our organizational efforts that we're doing throughout the Army. So if there's something they want to know about DLCs or the basic leader course, all the way up to the Sergeant's Major course, they can access that site, obtain information, read over it, and then be able to tap into our organizational leaders and our course developers to ask them any questions about how do I get enrolled and some of the things to expect once they do get enrolled into the course.
Absolutely. So, Sergeant Major, if you don't mind, I'd like to switch subjects a little bit and go from the online to our actual resident courses. And you and I have seen initial leadership development for our new NCOs evolve and change over the years. What are the major differences between the legacy BLC and the redesigned version, the one we have today?
The BLC design for this one is a more interactive course as well. We're really looking at how do we assess soldiers to lead at the squad and team level. The legacy BLC was mainly focused on teaching and testing soldiers the skill level common one task, land navigation, FTX, the word task and battle drills and things of that nature. The redesigned BLC, we put a lot of time and effort into it. It raises the bar a little bit, and it focuses on skill level 2 tasks and the NCO 6 level common core competencies of training management, operations, communications, program management, leadership, and readiness, as outlined in TC 7-22.7, the NCO guide. So if you're going back to the first question there, where the Army told us that we had some gaps, the new BLC addresses all of those gaps that the Army was realizing that we had to develop NCOs better at. And when they go to BLC, that's actually what they're getting. They're going to fill those gaps for them and help them understand how to be a better leader at the squad and team level once they graduate the course.
Yeah, that's important because that's their first leadership course as a young sergeant. Sergeant Major, you mentioned Common Core competencies, and you and the NCO Leadership Center of Excellence are responsible for the Common Core competencies of all levels of NCO education. So how are the NCO Common Core competencies now tied into the NCO's roles and responsibilities?
Everything that NCOs is expected to be, know, and do is encompassed with the 6 NCO Common Core competencies, NCO C3s, as we commonly like to call them. And so the NCO C3s complement the core leader competencies of leads, develops, and achieves, and the attributes of character, presence, and intellect as outlined in 6-22 and TC 7-22.7. So as you can see that when we redesigned the courses overall, we made sure that we were really connected to doctrine and all the changes that's going on in our Army.
Sergeant Major, I'd like to switch subject again and talk about something that is really revolutionary in our non-commissioned officer professional development system, and one of the things that the Army is most proud of today, and that's the opportunity for all students attending the Sergeant Major's Academy to graduate with a college degree. What prerequisites are needed for a Sergeant Major's Academy student to be eligible to enroll in the Bachelor of Arts in Leadership and Workforce Development in the Sergeant Major's Academy?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that was a tremendous accomplishment by our Army. And I'd like to give a special thanks to, the Army senior leaders at that point in time, yourself and the Chief of Staff of the Army, for really supporting us and getting that done, because it really changes lives for our soldiers as they get that degree coming out of the Sergeant Major's Academy. So the prerequisites are, basically simple as kind of joining the Army or enrolling into any course that's out there. The prerequisites that you got to be attendance to the Sergeant Major Academy resident course, have a high school diploma or GED. It's not required to complete a degree audit and produce an unofficial degree plan to send it in, but you have to enroll into it. You have to opt into the program itself. And then we kind of consider a course within a course. So as you're going through the Sergeant Major course curriculum, you're also doing those requirements to attain the degree. All your unofficial transcripts have to be sent in so we can validate that. And then your joint service transcript as well. And then all master sergeants and above, the NCOARs, have to be sent in so we can evaluate that to make sure that you're getting the proper credit. Any disqualifiers out there, if you already have a master's degree, then obviously you won't be enrolled into the BA LWD program. But overall, if you're going through the course and you meet the course requirements, there's a couple little courses here and there that you have to do, the prerequisites for getting the degree itself, all the required PME, and then we'll evaluate you and then make sure that you get the proper credit there.
Well, I'll tell you, Sergeant Major, that is a mark in our history, and you and your team have done a phenomenal job at making that happen for current sergeants majors in the course and all of our future sergeant majors. And, you've been responsible for many sweeping changes and improvements to all levels of education, and you have, Sergeant Major, and you've been key to that. The Master Leaders course is no exception. What changes can soldiers expect from the updated Master Leader course?
So I'm excited about this one, SMA, because, we just finished updating the Master Leaders course. And right before COVID-19 hit, we did some validations out there throughout all compos 1, 2, and 3. So when we found out that we updated the course, one of the things we really wanted to focus on was the balance of leadership topics that were needed for first sergeants with the operational skills required of many sergeant first classes and master sergeants working in the tactical operational staff positions. In addition, we replaced military decision-making process lessons with the Joint Planning Process, JPP, because MD&P would be taught in AOC and the Rapid Decision-Making and Synchronization Process in SOC. Other changes also include adding leadership case studies, a white paper requirement, and the interagency large-scale combat operations in multi-domain environments while planning. While the academic days remained the same, we did combine some of the lessons and add a little more time for reflection and preparation so that soldiers can have more time to prepare their products, be turned in and evaluated by instructors.
Wow, those are some really great changes that are, again, just contributing to the professionalism of our NCO Corps by increasing the relevance and rigor of our courses. It's going to make a better product in the end. You know, one of the courses that you've always offered was Battle Staff Non-Commissioned Officers course, and Army leaders for decades have praised the Battle Staff Non-Commissioned Officer course for education experiences provided to those who graduate from it. This course has also continued to evolve. What new curriculum will NCOs be exposed to through the Battle Staff Non-Commissioned Officer course redesign?
I really like the Battle Staff course, and as we tried to redesign it so that it would make NCOs prepared to operate in staff positions, you know, as I talked a little bit about the Master Leaders course, the Battle Staff course is not a PME course itself. It's a functional course, as you know, but what we tried to do was link it to PME. By that, I mean, you know, some of the lessons that you're going to be prepared to before you go to the Master Leaders course, you'll see in the Battle Staff course. So overall, the approved design is about 175 hours. It covers 30 lessons within 4 modules. So we talk about military decision-making process, which is about 112 hours overall. And we actually got a combined arms rehearsal, 14 hours students would spend doing a CAR and executing from that standpoint. The center of gravity, the MD&P module that has about 15 hours lessons learned in there. The new curriculum will be exposed to soldiers to, you know, things like unit resource management, ranges, and land management overall, because those were some of the areas that we saw that was some gaps for our non-commissioned officers as they operate in staff positions. They do more than just staff operations. It's some of the things that they do in a garrison environment, like land management, ranges, and training management that soldiers also do at the Staff Sergeant, Sergeant First Class level. So we put that into the course to make them uniquely prepared to do those roles and responsibilities when they go back out to the organization.
Well, Sergeant Major, sounds like it's going to be a great course for the future. I'd like to shift subjects again. You know, we all know we're living with the COVID-19 pandemic, which has and continues to impact how we do our business every day. The current focus for the Army is to reduce the risk of unnecessary exposure. How is NCO professional military education currently being conducted during this crisis?
Well, I'll tell you, yes, mate, that was one of the things I'm very, very proud of. You know, there's a lot of things to be proud of within the Army today, but how we were able to adapt and be agile into getting DLC online, for example, was pretty unique. And we used Blackboard as a way to deliver the modality, deliver education. We started about a year ago when we redesigned basically the course, and we started using Blackboard, and the instructors got trained and they got very proficient with it throughout the past year. So when COVID-19 hit, they just really adapted to the change and just got immersed into using Blackboard a little bit more. And, you know, I credit all the NCO Academy Commandants out there. They did a phenomenal job across the Army and making sure that their instructors were trained to do this. So, you know, all of our instructors are trained out there at Blackboard 101 and Blackboard 201. And they went to an online modality to where soldiers really didn't have to show up. They sent them email messages showing them how to enroll into blackboard.mil online. The soldiers went through, they submitted all their required paperwork just like they would if they were attending the resident course. And then we started using some collaborative tools, things like DCS Collab, where they were able to pull up their soldiers, see their faces online, talk to them every single day, and facilitate the course using blackboard.mil. And then really we got connected to technology and started to use it more. So for things like the drill and ceremony evaluations or the physical readiness test, PRT examination, as they issue PRT to their soldiers, they got to show them how to actually get evaluated on that. They uploaded videos to the Blackboard system, and soldiers, the facilitators, were able to pull up that video, use the assessment criteria that we already have established, and evaluate how they performed on the evaluation itself, whether it was DNC or PRT, exercising some social distancing there as they did the evaluation and upload the video. So the course really hasn't changed. It just moved from a resident to an online modality. That way soldiers continue their PME and continue to progress without having to have any shortfalls in our education system.
Well, it's good to hear that our NCOs are still going to have an opportunity to take advantage of their non-commissioned officer professional development, even in this crisis time. But, as the Army always does, they find a way around it and accomplish the mission. Staying on the same topic of impacts of COVID-19, for our listeners out there who are wondering about the current Class 70 of the Sergeant Major Academy, how will the current students accomplish their requirements to graduate through this virtual PME? How's that going to happen?
Well, it's the same way. So instead of blackboard.mil, what we did is we went to a blackboard.com when we got accredited as a university. That was kind of one of the requirements and one of the goals that we want to achieve there, put the entire course on blackboard.com so that we kind of had a structured blended learning environment between the resident when they were sitting inside the classroom and then when they had to go home and kind of do some homework there. So when COVID-19 hit and the students went on spring break, they came back and they went straight into an online class. And then the instructors got on the line, blackboard.com. They were able to see the students, check out their healthcare and welfare on a daily basis, and they're doing that right now as we speak. And they continue to knock out all course requirements. So it was basically a seamless transition for our entire organization when it came to PME. By moving to an asynchronous virtual requirement, all students in the Sergeant Major Academy will continue to be able to graduate on June 19th without any loss to the curriculum.
Oh, that's good to hear. So graduation is still set for that time, and they're going to be complete with the course, right?
Absolutely. That's one thing I did promise the students, that make no doubt about it, that graduation June 19th will come around, but the graduation may look somewhat different than what you are accustomed to. It may be in a virtual form. We will announce some names and make sure that we recognize the notable achievements out there and awards and recognitions from throughout the course of the year. So the graduation may look a bit different, but the date remains the same, and they'll continue to graduate after that.
Well, that's excellent. So that's a good sum up of what Class 70 is going to be like and the fact that they are going to graduate. But I know a lot of our listeners out there are wondering, what are some of the possible courses of action for Class 71?
Well, there's some great course of actions that our Army senior leaders are considering out there. We have provided to the Army U and the CAC leadership to brief the Army senior leaders for a decision just as of last week. So I can't discuss in detail, so all of those things are still pre-decisional. But what I can tell you is that we are fully prepared to execute the curriculum for Class 71, and the team here is fully prepared based on how long COVID-19 goes on and the restrictions that have. So based on the final decisions from our senior leaders, I don't see any degradation that's going to happen to Class 71, whether they show up in resident phase or we deliver an online modality like we're doing for Class 70. At any rate, we'll still be able to produce senior non-commissioned officers that operate at an effective level upon graduating from the Sergeant Major course.
Well, some good news there. So stay tuned for decisions from senior leaders on how exactly that's going to be accomplished. And we appreciate that information, Sergeant Major. So, Sergeant Major, we're coming to close of this episode of Soldier Today. But as always, I'd like to give you the last words. Is there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Thank you for that, SMA. I think, for our listeners, I just like to tell you that I appreciate all the hard work and efforts throughout the past 36 months that I've been here, having the honor and pleasure of being the Commandant for the Non-Commissioned Officer Leadership Center of Excellence and the Soldiers Major Academy. Without a doubt, we have made some revolutionary changes throughout the Army, but that wasn't an easy task at all. It comes with a lot of communication, collaboration, coordination throughout the entire Army. Being able to have a front row seat to see our Army change over the course of time and be responsive to all the different things that's happening has been very remarkable. So I just appreciate your flexibility as we continue to evolve our education system and get better each and every day.
Well, Sergeant Major, we appreciate your leadership. Under your tenure, you can honestly say that you've advanced professionalism of our NCO Corps, so thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our time has come to an end to close this edition of Soldier Today podcast. All of us here at the Association of the United States Army want to thank Command Sergeant Major Jimmy Sellers, our Commandant at the NCO Leadership Center of Excellence, for joining us here today for a great discussion and update on NCO education. As Army alums, I can say from all of us across the country, thank you and all the staff and faculty at the NCO Leadership Center of Excellence and Sergeant Major Academy for what you have done and all that you continue to do. Thank you for continuing the proud traditions of our Army that makes us the greatest land power force in the world.
To all our listeners, thanks for joining us. Be sure to subscribe to the Army Matters podcast on iTunes and everywhere podcasts are found. Join us next Monday with a brand new episode of Army Matters with Army Real Talk. The Army Matters podcast series is brought to you by the Association of the United States Army, the U.S. Army's professional association, member-supported, Army-connected. Visit us at AUSA.org for more information or to become a member. Your membership helps AUSA continue to carry out its mission to educate, inform, and connect with the total Army, our industry partners, and our supporters of a strong national defense. For questions or to provide topic recommendations, email us at podcast@ausa.org. Have a great Army Day. Hua.